After I refused to co-sign a loan for my brother, he told our father I was stealing from his account. Dad called me a disgrace and cut me off. I was evicted within a month. 2 years later, I returned, not as the broke sister he remembered, but as the new owner of the building he rented his business from. I walked in with an eviction notice. When he read the name at the bottom, he stared at me and said, "I'm Carly, 25, from Erie, Pennsylvania. I want to tell you how my brother and father ruined my life, and how I came back, not for revenge at first, but because I had to survive." The revenge just happened naturally. It all started when my older brother Micah came to me, looking desperate. He wanted me to co-sign a $40,000 loan so he could open up a garage. He said it was for his dream. He made it sound like it would change his life, and he swore he had a plan. But Micah's always been a mess with money. He's blown through every tax refund, maxed out credit cards, borrowed from friends and never paid them back. Even Dad once said he'd never give Micah another cent. But that changed. I told Micah no. I couldn't do it. I didn't even have a stable income, working 2 part-time jobs. I lived in a rented studio apartment barely big enough for a twin bed. My credit wasn't amazing, but I'd kept it clean. I couldn't risk getting tied up in one of his disasters. He got pissed. Like, scary pissed. Slammed his fist on the table and told me I was selfish, that I owed him for things from when we were kids. I just stood there, quiet. I didn't owe him anything. 3 days later, my dad called me to his place. His voice was weird on the phone, cold. When I got there, he sat me down with this tight look on his face and said, "Micah told me you've been taking money out of my account." I literally laughed. At first, I thought he was joking. I said, "Dad, what? I've never even touched your account." But he wasn't laughing. He pulled out some bank statements and pointed at a few withdrawals that were supposedly done using my name. They were small, $100 here, $200 there. But enough to make him suspicious. Micah told him I was using his card behind his back. It was all fake. I asked him if he even checked with the bank to confirm. He hadn't. He said, "I shouldn't have to. I know my own son." I felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I just stood there while he told me I was a disgrace to the family, that he couldn't trust me. He said he wanted me out of his life for a while. I left that day and never went back. That same week, the help Dad gave me with rent stopped. I was short on bills. My landlord gave me notice. I tried to fight it, but without help and without proof of income, I got evicted a month later. I moved in with a friend. Then a coworker. Then into a shared room behind a convenience store where I worked night shifts just to survive. I never talked to Dad again. Micah blocked me on everything. For a year, I was invisible. But while I was invisible, I was learning. I got hired as a cleaner for a small commercial property group. I was scrubbing bathrooms in office buildings. It sucked. But I paid attention to everything. I listened when the property manager talked about leases. I watched how they handled tenants, how they bought new buildings at tax sales. I asked questions. They thought I was annoying, but I didn't care. I wasn't going to be a janitor forever. When I had enough saved, I took a short real estate course online and got certified. Then I applied for a job in Meadville, just under an hour away. It was an assistant role at a real estate firm. Somehow, I got it. I worked there for a year. I was quiet, worked late, asked to help with contracts. I learned to run numbers, read inspection reports, and talk to sellers. I saved every dollar I could. No fancy clothes, no eating out. I kept my head down. I created an LLC and named it Lake City Commercial Holdings. No one knew it was just me, working alone. The first building I bought was an old brick 3-unit on the east side of Erie. It was half empty, but cheap. I fixed it up myself, scraped and painted. I lived in one unit and rented out the other 2. Then I refinanced, used the equity, and bought another one. I grew my portfolio to 3 buildings in 2 years. And then something crazy happened. One day, my coworker at the real estate office said something like, "Hey, that new property you picked up? I think it has a car parts store in it, right?" I nodded. He showed me a lease file. It was my dad's store. He'd been renting from me for almost a year and didn't know it. He thought I was a nobody. But I was the one cashing his rent checks. I didn't plan revenge. But when I saw that lease, something in me flipped. Not anger. Not hate. Just a sharp cold feeling. Like justice was finally circling around. So I started preparing. I waited a few weeks. I didn't rush. I wanted to be smart. I read every word of Dad's lease. He'd signed a 12-month agreement with the last owner, and it rolled over to me when I bought the building. But there was a clause. It gave me the right to end it with 60 days' notice if I didn't want to renew. That's all I needed. I called my lawyer, had her prepare the eviction notice. I wasn't kicking him out of spite. Not at first. I told myself this was business. I just wanted him to know who I was now, and that I wasn't going to stay silent. I dressed clean, professional. No makeup, no show. Just simple, sharp. I walked into his shop on a Tuesday afternoon. He was behind the counter, working with a customer. He looked older than I remembered. Tired. When he saw me, he blinked. Like he wasn't sure if it was really me. I handed him the envelope. "What's this?" he asked. "Lease termination." "You have 60 days, I said, calm. He opened the envelope and read it. Then he saw the name at the bottom, Lake City Commercial Holdings. He looked back at me, confused. You own this?" I nodded. "I bought the building a year ago. You've been paying rent to my company." He stood still. Quiet. Then his face changed. Not just shock, shame. He set the paper down and said, "Why are you doing this?" "I'm not doing anything," I said. "Just business. You called me a disgrace. You never asked if I actually took your money. You believed Micah without checking. I lost my apartment because of you. My whole life changed. I built something out of that pain. Now you're here, in my building." His mouth opened but no words came out. I leaned forward. "You can stay. But the lease is going up to market rate, $3,200 a month. Or you can leave in 60 days. He nodded slowly. "I'll need to talk to my accountant." "That's fine. But I need a signed agreement in 7 days. Or the notice stands." I turned and walked out. But here's the twist, that night, I got an email. From Micah. He wrote, "I heard you own Dad's building. We need to talk." My hand shook. I didn't reply. Then 2 days later, I got another email, from a different address. This one had no message. Just a PDF attachment. I opened it. It was a copy of a police report. Filed 2 years ago. The one Dad said never existed. A report Micah supposedly filed, accusing me of stealing money from Dad's account. Except the signature at the bottom wasn't mine. It was fake. Micah forged my name. He actually filed a false report. I sat on my bed in silence. My body cold. I had no idea he'd gone that far. Now I knew I wasn't just kicked out because of lies. I was nearly ruined by a fake crime. And that changed everything. This wasn't just about kicking Dad out. Now it was about exposing Micah, and making sure neither of them could twist this again. After I saw the police report, I printed it and read every line like it was a map. The address Micah gave, the dates, the details, they were sloppy. He said I took money in cash from Dad's drawer, but Dad didn't even keep cash in the house back then. It was all digital. But the worst part wasn't the lies. It was that Micah had faked my signature. That report could have gotten me arrested. I called the precinct listed on the form, asked for a copy under my name. The officer on the phone asked for ID and said they'd mail it. I waited a week. When it came, it matched the email exactly. Same form. Same signature. Still no investigation back then, they'd marked it no further action taken. Probably because it was so weak. But it was still in the system, linked to me. Like a shadow hanging over everything. And now, I had proof. I went quiet again. No reaction, no message to Dad, nothing back to Micah. Instead, I called a lawyer who specialized in fraud. I paid for an hour of her time. She read through the document, compared my real signature to the forged one. She nodded slowly and said, "This is definitely reportable. If you want to press charges, you could." But I didn't want to just report Micah. I wanted the truth to hit them both at the same time. Publicly. I made a plan. The following week, I called Dad and said I was holding a small meeting with tenants at the property, business stuff. Just lease updates, nothing personal. Told him to be there Tuesday morning. Then I called the other two business owners in the building, an old man who ran a sewing shop and a young woman who did taxes. Told them to attend a lease briefing. Both said they'd come. And finally, I invited someone else. I'd done some digging. Micah was working part-time at a different garage now. Barely making it. I found the number for the owner, said I wanted to offer a business proposal. Asked if Micah could come too. He agreed. Said Micah needed work. So Tuesday came. We met in the vacant unit next to Dad's shop. 6 folding chairs, a long table, and a whiteboard. I showed up early. Had folders printed, one for each person. Dad walked in first. He looked nervous. Micah showed up 5 minutes late. He froze when he saw me. I nodded at him. "Take a seat." Then I began the meeting. Calm, like it was just business. Talked about new maintenance schedules, rent increases, parking lot plans. Then I turned to Dad. "There's one more thing," I said, sliding a folder toward him. "You told me I stole money from you. That I took from your account." He blinked. I opened the folder for him. Inside was the police report. "Micah filed this. Said I stole from you. But the signature on it? That's not mine." Micah stood up fast. "What is this?" I kept my voice even. "This is a false police report. This document could have ruined my life. Gotten me arrested. Evicted me. Which it did. And you," I looked at Dad, "believed it." Dad looked at Micah. You filed this?" Micah started to panic. "She said no to the loan. I had no choice." "You wouldn't believe me unless," Dad slammed his fist on the table. "You lied?" Micah looked around, wild. "You were never going to help me. She had it easy." My voice cut and sharp. I was sleeping behind a store. I ate ramen for a year. I cleaned toilets to survive. And you forged my name. The room went silent. Then Dad did something I didn't expect. He broke down. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just quiet. Sat back in the chair and stared at the paper. His eyes looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. He said nothing. Micah left. Stormed out, no words, no apology. I watched him go. Dad stayed behind. Hand shaking. I still hadn't decided what to do with the evidence. But I knew this. Whatever came next, I wouldn't stay quiet anymore. After that meeting, everything changed. Micah tried to ghost everyone. He didn't return Dad's calls. He quit the garage job the next day. Disappeared from social media. I didn't care. I had what I needed, proof of what he did, and a room full of witnesses who saw the truth unfold. Dad tried calling me a few times over the next week. Left voicemails. I didn't know. I was lied to. "Please call me." But I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to talk. Instead, I went to the police with the forged report. I filed a formal complaint. The officer took one look and said it would be investigated as felony fraud. I handed over the document, the emails, even the recorded audio from the meeting. I'd gotten everyone's verbal consent at the start for training purposes. It was all legal. A week later, a detective called me. They'd confirmed it. Charges were being filed against Micah: false report, identity fraud, and forgery. He was arrested 2 weeks later. Dad showed up at my office the day after the arrest. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He said he wanted to talk. I let him sit down, but I didn't offer coffee. No more comfort. He said, I didn't want to believe it. But I did. I believed him over you. I nodded. You did. I thought you were tough. I thought you'd be fine. That you didn't need me. I wasn't fine. You didn't just turn your back. You helped destroy everything I had. He didn't argue. I leaned forward. So here's how this works now. You want to stay in the building, you sign the new lease. No more favors. Full market rent. 3-year contract. I'll treat you like any other tenant. No better. No worse. He said nothing. Just nodded. He signed. A month passed. Micah was out on bail, waiting for trial. But his face was all over local news. Everyone knew what he did. No one would hire him. He tried to message me once from a fake number. Please help me. I'm your brother. I blocked it. Then, something happened I didn't plan. The woman who owned the garage Micah used to work at? She came to me with a proposal. She needed a new building. I had one. I offered it cheap, on one condition. She rebrand the garage and rename it after my late mom. My mom, the only person who ever truly stood by me before she passed away. The woman agreed. A month later, Margaret's garage opened 2 blocks from Dad's store. It became the busiest shop in that part of Erie. People loved the name. Loved the story behind it. Dad's business? It slowed down. A lot. He still had his pride, but less traffic. Less support. I didn't cheer. I didn't gloat. I just watched. And me? I kept going. Bought more buildings. Hired a staff. Grew the company. I made it clear, I never wanted sympathy. I wanted respect. And I earned it. The final twist? One day, almost a year later, I got a package. It was from Dad. Inside was a letter. A real one. Handwritten. It said, "You were right. I failed you. I chose the wrong child. I believed the liar, and I punished the honest one. I don't deserve to call you my daughter. But I hope one day, you'll forgive an old man who didn't know what he had. I lost one child to prison. I don't want to lose the other one by silence." I sat there, letter in hand, silent. I didn't know if I'd ever forgive him. But I did know this, I'd won. Not by screaming. Not by begging. I won because I survived what they did to me, and I turned it into power. Micah tried to ruin my name, and now he carries the criminal record. Dad tried to cast me out, and now he signs checks with my name on them. And me? I walk into my buildings every morning with keys they never wanted me to have, because they never thought I'd rise. But I did. And I never looked back.